Hey guys, I hope you're good. Thank you for joining us today. We're in sunny Las Vegas, and I have the great pleasure and honor to be here with Jay Cutler today. Obviously, with Cutler Nutrition, we're at the Cutler Nutrition HQ, and I thought it'd be really good if we did like a little bit of a introductory piece today for the brand itself. Talk over some things with Jay about his new supplement line, and give you guys a bit more clarity on the brand itself and why it has been doing so well in UK and Europe and of course the States. Because I definitely think there's a really cool pattern here that we need to go over. And well, thank you for having us, Jay. I really appreciate you letting us come and interview you. So give us a little background on Cutler Nutrition. Like why would you start Cutler Nutrition?
Well, as you know, it's something you see a lot of these athletes retired, or I endorsed a lot of brands over the years. Some of the best brands, I think.
Sure.
And unlike some of the athletes, I still like to mention the brands such as Muscle Tech, which I felt was really solid for me because I had a lot of respect for Paul Gardner, who started that brand, who called me actually when he was 22 years old to be the first athlete to come on board there, which later I did. But I learned a lot over the years how the body works and how pushing your body to certain limitations, you are very restrictive, and I always mention that supplements are supplemented in with a great regimen, a great diet, great sleep pattern, and we've seen so many changes over the years. I remember buying my first tub of protein at GNC at the age of 16, and I sat there and I looked at it on my counter, and I said, "This is the secret." And I drank it. I drank it all in one day.
No way.
I drank it all in one day,
Yeah.
and I thought, man, this is going to make me grow. But little did I realize, I saw the ads, I saw what was out there. We were very limited at that time. Remember, this is the early '90s, and I've seen so much transition, and I've learned that people want to learn from the best. And what I did with my career was way past what I ever thought it would be. And I learned a lot of great things working with great nutritionists on the way out. Chris Aceto was kind of like my mentor, and he taught me a lot about supplementation. But I'm really intrigued on how the body works and how it performs under certain stresses, and really how to get the best out of your workouts. And I've always been a workout guy where I want performance when I train. So we talk about the pump, or we talk about recovery. Those are two most important things to me. And I always ate a lot of food, so I didn't have an issue with the food supplements as much, but I always wanted the best out of my workouts. And when I had the opportunity to step away from bodybuilding and focus more on the business side, I wanted to do something to give back to what created such a huge opportunity for me. And I dabbled a little bit in the supplement industry until now. In the last 6 months, I launched a really exclusive brand with a different model, with formulas that I believe in, that I tested myself many, many, many times over.
Yeah.
And a lot of people saw that on my social media. And I'm not going to sit here and go into science like I'm a genius when it comes to ingredients, because I'm still learning, and I love the learning process. I think you asked me earlier what I enjoy most about what I do. And I think learning things that I don't know is the coolest thing to me. Even someone like yourself, who's a lot younger than me, you're half my age, right?
Yeah,
Literally.
around that.
Yeah, you're half my age.
Oh, wow, okay.
I'm 46, man. So,
yeah, 23, that works out, yeah.
So, and I remember when I met you in Germany, and we had a discussion, I'm like, man, this guy's really on it for being so young. And you told me, I was passionate about bodybuilding, and I got into the supplement business, and I'm just intrigued by the new age of how things are done, not only the formulations, but how products are being distributed, and the opportunity to stand behind something I really believe in and continue my legacy. My legacy is important to me.
Yeah.
And I'm hands-on with everything that I do, and I'm just still excited every day I wake up. I love bodybuilding, and I love the health aspect, and I love trying to be my absolute best still.
Yeah, and I think that really rings true in the products themselves. Something that me and Jay spoke about earlier, guys, was like the passion that Jay has, not just for bodybuilding, but for you guys, the consumers sitting at home right now, and every aspect of bodybuilding, not just, oh, I'm going to turn up to an expo and get a paycheck. Like, he waits to the end of the line, he waits past close sometimes, and he spends the time, because not only does he love the sport, but he has passion for every single side of things. And me spending the time that I have with Jay, and I've been fortunate enough to do so, I've been able to see that.
Yeah.
Which is really, really cool. And that's something you can't fake. That is something that I've noticed in my business career. Like, you cannot fake passion. And it's transparent,
The problem is the passion becomes overwhelming sometimes, because we go home with the passion, right? Because the brain never shuts off. And that's the hardest thing. And I've struggled through relationships between friends, family, spouses, everything through my career. And people that know me well, which there's not a lot of people that really know, that live day in, day out with me. I'm very passionate about the things that I love to do. But the number one thing that I love to do is still weight training and exercise. And you can see that because when you watch my media, I'm always posting first thing in the morning. I'm getting up and I'm walking, right? And why do I walk? It's more for my mind. It's more, I get the business flowing for the day, but I feel at the same time I'm getting the exercise that I love to do. So that's how I kicked my day off. And then, of course, I weight train later in the day. But I continue to work at all hours. Like, I have to find my outlet. I have to find some way to relieve stress. And that's what the working out and the fitness does in my life.
So it's almost like a release in a way.
It's a release, and I think a lot of people agree. And I ask people at expos, and I ask people this Olympia Expo, why do you work out? Do you work out for your body, or do you work out for your mind? No one has ever answered me and said, I work out for my body only. Ever.
Very interesting. Yeah. It's
almost like a trick question, I think. Definitely. Because they don't really think about why I actually train. And a lot of it's mind altering. When you go in a gym and you just try to relieve stress, you're in the weights and you're in the training. And
very
I love
true.
that.
That's very true.
And that's what I love about, I'm so excited still every day to go work out.
Yeah. Well, I think that's how it's becoming more, not necessarily like a niche sport, but more like a lifestyle sport,
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost imprinted into you. If it becomes a form of therapy, which it is for many of us, I know myself, workouts kept me sane throughout the time I was at university and trying to balance A-list and things. I'd be stressed out in the warehouse or something like that. Something bad goes wrong. I've still got to get essays done. And I'm taking it out on other people, unfortunately, some of the times. But, I'd always go and train, and then I'd be better afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really important. But, okay, so passion, really, why you started Cutler Nutrition. And not only passion, but the need to help others. Would you say that's like a concise answer to that question?
To be honest, James, I woke up every day to a bunch of emails. I would travel to events every weekend. And people would ask me often about training and about lifestyle, but they would also ask me about nutritional supplements. And they wanted to know what to take. And I remember being a kid, I just mentioned going in GNC and buying the protein and being swayed towards this is the secret, right?
Yeah.
And I was wrong. Because I drank that whole thing in a day and ended up on the toilet and that whole next day. It wasn't great quality, by the way.
Yeah,
it wasn't any Cutler products.
Not total ISO, yeah.
But, there's so many things out there. And there's so many options for people. And as a supplement owner, I could just make products to make money.
Sure, yeah.
And I think for me, I wanted to launch products that I knew I could sell, but at the same time were products that I did use. And when I did launch those products, I wanted to make sure, okay, the ingredients are right. Mm-hmm. I felt like there was a lot of empty holes in the market maybe that I didn't necessarily see. And listen, I'm not I'm not as experienced as you. You study supplements for a living. I kind of, I lifted weights for a living, and I was at expos meeting greedy people and focusing on other business outside of the fitness arena. But
Sure.
I wanted to do something that really would answer the questions that were being asked about what do I take, how do I take it, how much is too much, how much is too little. And I think that's really why I kind of said, you know what? And someone asked me, it's funny, someone asked me last year at the Dubai Muscle Show, like, why would you want to get it back into supplements? And, you do so many other great things and you don't really need financial reward out of it. And I said, listen, man, it's not about the finances. And I mentioned that to you earlier about, I don't really put a number on a lot of things. I do things because if I feel it's right, that's how I do it. And I'm passionate about all, like I said. So helping people is a huge concern to me these days because there's just so much misinformation. When you could read a magazine before, you were limited on information. Now you have the internet. How much bad information is there out there?
Tons, yeah.
And people are just so greedy with trying to make money and scamming people. I want to be one of these people that, number one, I have the respect factor in the bodybuilding community. I want to pass that on to the consumer that even don't know what Jay Cutler career was, right?
Yeah.
It's just a brand name. What you see is really what I want it to be recognized as something that's very positive for people.
Yeah, okay. Well, that is pretty like a concise way of going about it, is to help your consumers, right, your fan base. Mm-hmm. So now let me ask you this. It probably answers that particular question, but in terms of like the brand, the products, everything that you've done with Cutler Nutrition so far, what would you say is the key differentiator between you and another brand?
Number one, I think even just I'm looking at the back side of the packaging and I'm looking at, there's charts on there to really, it's kind of self-explanatory, but the ingredients that I did and focusing more on the brain, the way, like especially with the pre-workout, this Prevail, for example, it's working on the nootropic formula, which I feel is a trending, it's a new age, okay, where
definitely.
Before it's like you bought a pre-workout, it's like, okay, how much caffeine does it have in it? How much stim is in it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
How much is this going to crank me up? We heard the stories of all the 1-3 days and people just getting all cranked up. I've tried that stuff. It never worked well for me. I wasn't a caffeine junkie, okay? So I talked about performance-based. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to come out with a combination of, okay, how can you function better? How can you go to the gym and train harder? Even the Amplify, it's something, my stim-free pre-workout, I was a night trainer. I wanted something that didn't give me any crank up, but gave me the performance, right? The hydration, the pump factor, the NO2 kind of the fullness.
Yeah.
That's, and that's obviously a stackable thing too. A pre-workout should be taken with stimulants, okay, which I'm not saying that I do have some caffeine in my product in the Prevail. On days where you need that pick-me-up.
Yeah.
But you do not need to take it every single day.
No.
And that's why I have the stim-free, and we can talk, we go into, testosterone health, we can talk about, now I launched a protein recently, and of course I launched an isolate protein. Why?
Yeah. I
wanted the best quality. I didn't launch a concentrate. At some point maybe I will, because there's some consumers that want that kind of protein, but I launched right with the best that I possibly could.
Probably because you were taking that, right? Like
that's what I would use. And the only time I ever used any kind of protein mix would be either first thing in the morning when I need something quick kind of protein, or after the weight training session. I never substituted meals with my shakes, no matter what time it was in my career. I always believed that real food is going to be more beneficial. But if you are in the need of quick aminos or whatever else, or I would take an isolate protein around, first thing in the morning around the training.
Sure.
Any time around the training, the first thing in the morning is the best time, I believe, to take any supplementation.
True. Yeah, I would agree with that. And something that I think that, you touched on quite a lot is the focus aspect of your brand. And me spending the time that I have with you, it resonates in your personality as well, which I think a lot of brands don't have these days. I think it's fair to say that most company owners sit behind a desk and they not really involved that much in the brand. But this Cutler Nutrition line, this new brand that Jay's created, resonates his personality, his work ethic, his focus, everything that he has invested into bodybuilding. I believe it has real character. For example, Prevail, with all the nootropics that are in there, crazy amount of nootropics in there. Amplify, he's looked at it from a different perspective than most. You can go on and on, cognition, everything like that. It's all focused. It's all very much promoting nootropics, and that's something that I've picked up about Jay. Is like he is focused all the time, and I really like that.
Yeah, brain function is important, right?
Yeah.
I mean, no matter what you do, you have to have clear. I lived in a box for 20 years when I was a competitive bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And I had tunnel vision, right?
Yeah.
And these products kind of give you that focus that you kind of really need in order to be able to get the job done, but not that overstimulation where you're jarring or you're clenching, right? Cognition is one of the newer products that was recently launched, and Diamine and all that. People are talking about that as being something that's really beneficial. But people always ask me the difference between Cognition and Prevail, and why I did a capsule form instead of a powder or whatever else. And I just think some people just don't want to mix a pre-workout in order to be focused to go to the office or sit down and do a university paper or whatever else. And Cognition's a great way. And I did it honestly to replace the coffee drinkers in the morning.
Okay.
Because that's what I learned waking up, and I've said this on my social media for the past 2 years, is I'm trying to avoid the coffee. I'd rather drink something or have something that was more beneficial to give me that, pick me up a little bit. But I didn't want to be whacked out on stims. So Cognition is really for those coffee drinkers,
Pick-me-ups. Pick me up in the morning.
And to just feel good. I mean, it has a good feel to it.
It's very euphoric,
So you just want to be, it's a mood enhancer, right?
Yeah. No, you can definitely feel that, and a lot of you that have tried that will know that as well. So all that being said, Jay, what would you say is like one of the biggest things you've learned from the supplement industry? So it's a very vast industry, and there's a lot of pitfalls and a lot of places where people fall down. But so far, I'd say you've done very well, because a lot of people in your position who have tried to create a brand have unfortunately failed because they've just thought because of their name it's going to be all right. But
number one, like I said, I used the products and I tested everything myself. And I released products in the beginning that I felt people would take notice of.
Yeah.
I launched at probably the worst time of the year to launch a brand. I launched into the spring and through the summer, right? But I wasn't afraid of doing that because I think we talked earlier, and I mentioned how big do I want to take the brand, and I'm at a good pace right now, and I'm pacing myself. And as much as I want to launch, I have a big plan to launch a lot of new stuff, and we'll get into that. But I'm just listening to the feedback and being around you today. Yeah. And we get to work out, and I just kicked a few things around. And if you notice, I asked, what would sell? What are your consumers asking for there? What seems to be a good, like, where is it heading? Because in different cultures, different products sell. I mean, you can go online and you can ask people's opinion. Hey, what flavoring would you want on this? And I talked about maybe like we're going to do some exclusive Black Friday stuff, and we talked about doing exclusive products for you guys in the UK. Because of the partnership, and your flavors may be different from what we're used to here.
Definitely.
And what I know sells here from the feedback, and I'll ask the fans. I can ask 10 million social followers today and say, guys, what would you take for a pre-workout flavor? What would you take for a protein flavor?
Sure.
And you're going to get different responses, right?
Yeah.
So I think the most challenging thing is competition. There's a lot of products. I think trying to figure out who the consumer is, trying to gather people outside my realm
Yeah.
now, which the brand is now continuing to grow, and I want to gather the female side too. I'm not just honed in on the male society.
Yeah.
When you look around, you see the Jay Cutler stuff and the Swole Monkey and all that. I mean, obviously I represented the male. Most of my demographics are male, but I really want to put products forward that are going to give the females the opportunity to get the best out of the products also.
Yeah, you've definitely done that.
And I think you'll see that some of the consumers are the women's side too. So I want to capture that audience. And maybe, I need to put a face too also in the mix a little bit. That's another thing. So it's trying to decide, okay, who are we going to use for influencers or ambassadors? Who is taking the product? So I'm still kind of in that feel mode. I'm 6 months in.
Okay.
And it's a learning process. And we haven't had any flop products. And we launched in the worst time, like I said. So everything has been successful. If you said to me, what is your number one selling product? I can look, it's every week it's one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, our test booster
So
has done
everything
amazing,
sells.
which I didn't think would be as much of a hitter, even though, hey, it's Jay Cutler's brand. I think we've had great success with it.
Well, yeah, you've done it right. You've put in the big dose of KSM 66, the fenugreek, everything like that. You've targeted it at a specific market, and it's pulled off. So from all that, what I would really get as being the main the thing that you've learned is listening to feedback, right?
Yeah, you can't know everything.
Yeah, exactly, and that's something I think brands really do fall down on a lot. Is they do not listen to their consumers, or they do not listen
or
to
their partners, like someone like yourself. If you said, Jay, I'm suggestive on, just like we just talked. I just handheld some possible products coming up, and you're like, man, check on this or check on that. I'm going to listen to that because I don't know everything, and I admit that. We've had this conversation. I'm still learning a lot, and I have a lot of great feedback from people around me that's positive. And the negativity, so I take that in stride. Just like when I was bodybuilding, not everyone said, "Hey Jay, you looked your best at this contest," or "Hey, your training style is great." I mean, you had your cheerleaders, but you also had your critics.
Yeah.
And I appreciate those critics that gave me certain feedback. And if people didn't like a product and they said, "Hey man, you should change this or that," I'm going to listen to that feedback.
Sure.
Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes,
yeah. Well, you've done a great job with it so far. I think everything's very versatile. Everything's very, a big thing that we're talking about at the moment is being compliant.
That's another
unisex, thing. Everything like that. You've made it open to the market. You haven't shot yourself in the foot and made something obsolete to a certain target market or, not applicable to a certain region. You've made it open and very much approachable.
I don't think we've had anything that wasn't compliant yet, right?
Nothing. You've done it the right way. You've done it. You've obviously run it past legal teams and things like that, and you've spent the extra money to make it worthwhile. So, okay, how about this? You told me you couldn't tell me your top selling products because everything sells well. How about what's your favorite product of the line?
I would have to say, it's a hard choice for me, but Amplify is different.
I thought you were going to say Amplify.
Why'd you think that?
Just because
of what I've kind of discussed.
Yeah, just because of your training philosophy. Like, being able to be fortunate enough to train with Jay earlier, he's all about the pump, stretch, squeeze, making sure that he gets a lot of blood in the muscle, a lot of tension in the muscle, and that's something that you believed in throughout your bodybuilding career, right?
You asked me about products, and the Amplify I use on a daily basis when I train.
Yeah.
It's only used on training days for weight training. Yeah. Now, I can't say that about, like, Prevail.
Yeah.
And I can't say that about the protein. I can say that about the multivitamin, the Safeguard, which is a newer product. I do use that on a daily. Okay, now you don't have to cycle that product, which is great. But the Amplify I use anytime I go to the gym, anytime I travel, I always travel with Amplify. Why? Because I want to get the most out of the workout, and I train most of the time at night, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I like to get a lot of my work done, and I don't want to feel any kind of, even though I could take Prevail and probably go to sleep I mean, I used to be able to do it with all my fat burners and everything I used to take 20 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, Prevail isn't that strong stimulant-wise, and you did that on purpose.
And I did on purpose. That's not what like I said, if you're looking for, the ad says itself, if you're looking for the 500 milligram caffeine, keep looking. Go past this product because it's not yours. And the Amplify is just the performance out of it, the vascularity and what I'm looking for out of a workout, I get out of that product. Even if I'm not eating enough, I can still get a pump using Amplify. And I use 2 scoops.
Yeah.
Okay, I recommend 2 scoops is usually what I...
and I've seen that as well. Like, that's not just something Jay said. Something that really is great to see is, obviously I spend a lot of time with brands, and I spend a lot of time with brand owners and like bodybuilders that are the faces of brands. None that we work with, thankfully, but we discussed this earlier. They don't take their products that they have. They'll use someone else's, or they'll use something. Whenever I've seen Jay in Germany, in FIBO, when I first met him, like in Vegas over here, when you watch his socials, he's always got his product with him. I've never seen him once take another brand, which speaks volumes, because this guy's got everything available to him. He could have...
It shows up at my door every day. I have a lot of different brands that show up, but he actually hit me up before we met at the gym, and he hit me up like when I was on my way already. He's like, "Hey man, make sure you bring product." And I'm like, "I already got it."
Yeah, you already got it. Yeah,
of course I got it. That's what I use.
Because he actually genuinely uses it and genuinely believes in it, which I get a lot of excitement out of, because that means he believes in the brand and he's got passion behind the brand, and that is far more entertaining for me to work with than someone that's just, saying this has got a ton of profit in it, sling it for me, I distribute it everywhere. This guy has passion for his line and he wants to take it somewhere. So it's really exciting for me to get behind.
Yeah, but Amplify, I use the watermelon, sometimes the peach mango.
Okay,
You're a peach mango fan?
Peach mango fan, but you have got exclusives coming out.
I got something special coming out.
Yeah, so now I guess what I'm going to ask now is if you can tell us what new SKUs or products have you got coming to the line?
Some limited flavors.
Great.
We did talk about, I'm going to mention, Prevail will be launched in a peach mango formula.
Amazing. I know a lot of you will really enjoy
Amplify or peach mango will also have limited flavors. We'll look forward for something Black Friday, I think. We'll do something with that. We have a hydration formula coming.
I've seen that, guys, and it is actually more than a hydration formula. Although its primary focus is hydration, it's very much like a 2-in-1 product that I think you're all going to really enjoy.
You saw the Sculpt PM?
Yeah,
that's something we're looking
exciting
at.
as well.
That's sitting on my counter. You guys might have seen it on my social already, because I'm not afraid to show my products that I'm actually testing.
Yeah.
And just some more health products. Like, we talked about the cardio and the liver, and what else did I see on there that we mentioned today?
Oh yeah, so that's very exciting.
2 new protein flavors that I'm sampling right now.
And I know they're going to be really, really good for the UK guys, and the EU for that matter. It's very much trending right now, so stay tuned for that. I don't know when those are going to be released, but
it's going to be rather quick. I mean, we're coming into the busy season now, but you guys will definitely get a shot at that. And the protein's been a huge success for us, better than I expected it to be. The whole brand's honestly done a lot more expected than. I had projections. I mentioned to you what my goal was. We're close. We're close to where I wanted to be a lot sooner. I didn't think it would be 6 or 7 months in. So I guess I need to change my projections or my goals.
Yeah.
So
reassess.
I think maybe when we talk in a couple months about, when we settle down and say, hey, okay, what's your projections now? It all changes, right? I asked you, what's your goal? We talk about warehouse space and how big do we want to get? And it's just like when you go to a bodybuilding show. I compare everything to bodybuilding because that was my whole life, but I worked my way up in levels, and I remember thinking, oh man, if I could just turn pro.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, if I could just win a pro show.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, maybe I can win the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, I can win the Olympia. And then it's like, after Olympia, it's like, okay,
how many
what do I win? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I win 4, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of bored. What do I do?
Yeah.
And then I say, what other challenges do we have out there? And you ask, like, what's the most, are you a numbers guy?
Yeah.
What are you into? And I said, man, I just love challenges.
Yeah.
I just love challenges.
That is really cool. Because that is something that I did ask Jay while he was training. I sort of said, because from my perspective as a business owner, every business owner that I've met is good at something in particular, like whether it be marketing, accounting, logistics, HR, whatever it may be. And that's obviously Jay's. I see Jay as a very much well-rounded entrepreneur. Like, you keep your head in the books, right? You look at things from a financial perspective as well.
I do, but I also rely on others for that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to, have great people that are advisement to me. I mentioned my P&L stuff. Like, I'm not a P&L expert, so I have to know, okay, this expense is okay for what the profit margin is. And you're learning. It's a learning process, just like you. You went to university to what? Be better in business, right?
Correct, yeah.
But there's nothing better than hands-on.
No, I can testify
There's
that.
nothing
I
better
can
than
testify
hands-on.
that. A lot of the people that were on my course at university said to me, like, why are you here? Like, why are you doing it when you are running a business? But the thing is I'm not naive enough to think I know it all. And
It's the best way to be.
It's the living proof right here that, Jay's had an extremely fruitful career, like arguably one of the best in our industry. I saw the other day that you're sort of like ranked top 3 in terms of net worth in our industry. Like, what more could you have to learn? But yet you are still here learning, which is a big testament to you and your character.
There's so much more I could learn.
Yeah, and that's why he's doing well. That's why the brand does well. That's why it's all going onwards and upwards, I think. Okay, so I'm just going to round this off now, guys, because I know it's gone on a bit, but I hope you've enjoyed this. It's been really, really insightful both to me and I hope to you guys about sort of like a background on Jay and his awesome line that he's brought out. But let's say you were starting in the fitness industry. Let's say you would start it all over again. What would you tell your young self? And you're about to, throw in your hat in this really diverse, big industry.
You know what? I would preach the patience. Okay. I would preach the patience and the consistency. Because everything in life is about consistency. You have to have, number one, you have to have a game plan, even if it doesn't follow. It's just like projections or having a forecast, right?
Yeah.
In business, you have to have, okay, you have to weigh out everything. This is the most, this is the worst, this is the in-between. You have to have a set plan, and you have to be patient because you have to fall down in order to continue to rise. You're going to learn from mistakes. That's where people look at me and they say, man, the guy's filled with success, and you can mention all these great things with the successes on stage and the net worth and all this, but listen, I lost a lot.
Yeah. I
lost a lot, but it taught me not to make those mistakes. I remember doing deals, and I've lost millions of dollars on deals. I went home at night, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what did I do?
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm still here, and I'm still thriving.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing great things, and everything comes with risk, but you have to be constant with what you do, and you have to have passion with what you do.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. If you're going to do something, you're only going to be great at something if you're passionate about it. So stay true to your heart. Don't try to be someone that you're not. But more importantly, stay consistent and be focused on whatever the goal is. Don't shoot for the stars. The stars can be out there.
Yeah.
But you need to have stepping stones in order to get to the stars.
Yeah. A little bit of realism as
well. And surround yourself with positivity,
yeah.
Not negative things. Especially today, we live in a social media environment. There's a lot more of the outside influence on what we do. Stay in your lane. Stay focused on what you want.
There you have it, guys. Something I'm going to just quickly interject there. Jay said something about making mistakes and how many he's made. I think it was Warren Buffett said, like Jay said, he's learned from his mistakes. A mistake made twice is a choice. So I always hold on to that because it's so true. Jay's saying here that he's made loads of mistakes before, but he's learned from every single one of them. He's not going to make that choice to make that same mistake again. So thank you very much for watching, guys. We really appreciate you tuning in, and thank you very much, Jay, for an awesome time here at Cutler Nutrition HQ. And yeah, I hope you've all enjoyed the content, and plenty more awesome things to come from